Blessings on your life on today. Yet it is another day that the Lord has made, and we're going to rejoice and be glad in it. I want to read to you uh, a few passages of scripture. For some of you, they will be familiar. For others, it will not be familiar. But I promise you, we're going to all be helped a little bit today. I want to read to you from Genesis chapter number 7. Chapter number 7. And we will start at verse number 17. And it says, "And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die." That was chapter 6, verse 17. That was chapter 6, verse 17. Chapter 7, verse 4, "For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth." Verse number 7. "And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife, and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood." Verse number 10. "And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth." Verse number 12. "And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And the word of the Lord is blessed as always, is blessed as always." I want to talk to you from the subject on this wonderful day. I want to talk to you from the subject change. Change. It is a message that I preached spontaneously a few weeks back to some men at the prison, and I had a couple messages prepared, but again, it was a venue that I had never embarked upon, and no experience, no nothing. So I was going into it blind, and I had stuff prepared, not knowing where I was going, and all the stuff that I had prepared, it wasn't food that was fitting for the environment that I was going in. And so God got me and arrested me, and he shook me, and he said, "Just speak from your heart. I'll give you what to say." And so I spoke to them from the subject change, and I'm going to share that message in a different slant, a different perspective today. But I still want to speak that message to you because I believe that it is germane, not just to the men at the prison, but I believe that it is a word that is timely for us. Change, change. Change is a word that the Lord gave me as I examined the scripture in Genesis as it relates to the story of Noah and the ark and the rain. One of the things that I noticed out of this particular narrative was that God was not really trying to talk about the water. He really wasn't interested in the rain, although that was a message that has been communicated over the years. We talk about the Ark of the Covenant. We talk about being safe inside the Ark of the Covenant. And we talk about it from the standpoint that it was going to rain and that it did rain. And we know that we are not built, we're not marine type of species, and we can't survive that over a period of time, over a long period of time. And so that's been our presentation as it relates to that narrative pertaining to Noah's ark and the rain. And although that's good, I grew up on that, I cut my teeth on that. But as I got older and God began to deal with me and I developed a more mature relationship with God, I discovered that narrative meant something a bit different about me. Although it encapsulized rain, and it encapsulized water. It was not really denoting, it was not really speaking about the water and the rain, because there was a reason now why God allowed the water and the rain to come. And the water and the rain came because of the actions of the people that were in the earth at that particular time, which made God so angry that he repented of making man. He was angry at himself. He said this was a mistake. In other words, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the heart of God. The mind of God was, how could I have made something that ended up acting and behaving this particular way? So now I have to devise a plan of correction. I have to devise a plan of correction. Hence, I was at a correctional institution, and it was symbolic of the correction that God had to make in the earth to recapture our attention and redirect our hands and redirect our mind and redirect our feet to challenge us in a different way. And so hence, here we are today, and we're looking at this particular narrative that has spoken volumes to me and to my life. One of the things that I had to come into a saving knowledge of many years ago, and as I talked to the men back then, because as this thing that I was invited to, this celebration that I invited to and became the keynote speaker, it was a celebration because they had all graduated from this faith-based program that they were in, and it challenged them to get through a certain place, and then it challenged them to go further. As I understood my position even more, and this was after I got there, because before I got there, I had no idea what was going on. So I looked at the poster, I looked at the big what do they call them thing? Banner. I looked at the big banner that was on the back of the wall, and I started to collect some information. And so when I started to talk to these guys, I talked to them and I said, yeah, I'm very familiar with academic achievements. And I started to tell them about my achievements and all the degrees that I had. And I said, I'm very well acquainted with all that. And yet, with all my degrees and with all my accolades and the splendor and all that comes behind that, I said to them, it meant absolutely nothing without change in my life. It was change that was needed. What was I saying? I was saying that regardless of the things that you learn, the things that you apprehend in life, those things that will give you an opportunity, make way, to give you the tools, the necessary tools to go from one position or one level to another level, it does no good. You can get there, but if you get there the same old way, then you're not really advancing. And so for me, the most critical thing in my life, what I had to understand was that even though I was making inroads with academic achievements, but God was saying, but I need you to change. I need you to change. In fact, there's a caveat to the message, and in my caveat, I could label this or title this, "More change, please, more change." And so as I got to this, and I know this kind of might sound a little crazy when I say more change, please, but that's what I needed, because although I was changing in academics, I needed to make a change in my heart. Because when we look at the narrative of Noah and what he was going through, what we will understand is that God really wasn't sending rain. God really wasn't sending water. What God was really saying was, Moses, I need you to build this. I need you to make an ark for me, because I'm going to send something that is going to do what? It's going to change. It's not water, it's not raindrops, but I'm going to send something that is going to change life forever. It's going to change the world forever. So in that, I can say more change, please, because in order for all this to happen, in order for God to get the glory, in order for God to get what he wants and to be pleasing, what he's asking for, if you don't want me to bring about a destruction in some manner, in some form, I'm going to need more change. I'm going to need more change, please. And so I liken this, I contrast this particular narrative, this story, with a situation, with a time in my life. It was what do I want to call it? It was a conversation that I had with a coworker of mine. And my coworker at this particular time, he was older than me, maybe about 15, 20 years older than me. And he had experienced life in ways that I didn't know life. And so he would say to me, Donnie, I've seen a lot of things, I've done a lot of things. And he says, one of the things he said, if I could only experience one thing before I leave this life, he says, only if I could experience it, for a few minutes, he says, I would be satisfied. And I said, and I'll give a name, I'll just call him John. And I said, John, well, what is that? He says, if I could only experience love, just real love one more time. He said, if I could only experience, he said, I would be satisfied. This was a man that he had cancer. It was 2 or 3 times he had cancer. And there was a lot of things he experienced a lot. His life was full of hardship. And so he just wanted to love, and he had humbled himself to the point to where he didn't have to have love for a long time. He says, I just want to taste it. I just want to experience it for a few minutes. But this particular day, he had went out and he had embarked upon a woman, and this woman was really liking him, and he was really liking her, but he had not known her long enough, had not experienced her long enough to do certain things. And in this particular lady, she wanted him to of course, Bill or John, Bill John Jim was established. And so, looking at this particular man on the outside, some women might be gold diggers, and it might be an opportunity for some women. And so what Bill James John said to me was that she asked me if I would do certain things for her. And he said, Donnie, he says, I just couldn't do it because I didn't know her well enough. He said, I wanted to. He says, but I couldn't in the moment. I couldn't at that particular time. He says, because I don't know you like that. And he says, I had it to do. I had it to give to her. And it was something that I wanted to do to increase her happiness, to increase her emotional state, or what have you. He says, but I didn't know her like that. He says, we needed more time to spend together and to get to know one another. We needed to walk. We needed more fellowship. We needed all these types of things. He says, we had just started out. And he says, I really didn't know her, and she really didn't know me. And so it was a different expectation that I was looking for that she wasn't looking for. And so we were walking and talking, and he contrasts himself to a candy machine. And he said, Donnie, what she was asking for from me, he says, I required as if I was a candy machine, because what she wanted out of me was going to taste real good. It was going to sweeten her life up, considerably. It was going to sweeten her life up. And he says, but in order for her to get that out of me, and he contrasts himself to a candy machine that we was next to. And he said what she needed, because she wanted Three Musketeers, and she wanted a Snickers bar, and she wanted a Babe Ruth. And he said, now, baby, now, in essence, right? I'm paraphrasing. He's saying, now, baby, now, if you want some candy out of this machine, you're going to have to put a little more change in this if you expect to get some candy out. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that God is saying to us, because it's so many of us that want God to do this and to do that and to do the other, and we just meet God. It's just a casual relationship. It's like, how are you? Who are you? What's your name? And all that. And I've got more to me. I need you to go deeper inside of me, and I want to go deeper inside of you. We need to develop a relationship. But what you want is, you're looking at me and you saying, give me long life and give me a little bit of healing and give me more money and give me a job and give me more peace and give me all that. And God is saying, I got all that to give to you. And I want to give all that to you, but you got to put a little more change, please. You got to put a little more change in the machine if you expect to get some sweet results. You got to put a little more change in the machine if you expect to get a little sugar out of this. You got to put a little more change in the machine if you expect to get some sweetness out of this. You want a bag of potato chips? You got to put a little bit more change in it. See, what we're trying to do is put 35 cents in the machine, but see, for a candy bar nowadays, it requires $1. In some machines, it require $1.15. And so we go in our pocket and we put 35 cents in, and we go to pushing the button. And then not only that, we get mad at the machine and we start jerking the machine and say, why ain't you giving me my sweetness? Why ain't you giving me my sugar? Why ain't you giving me my salt and my favorite potato chips? And the machine is saying, more change, please. I can't give you what you want. Why? Because you haven't taken the time to invest more of yourself inside of me. You got to put a little bit more of an investment. You got to put a little bit more change. Put some more change. I ain't talking about silver. I ain't talking about dollar bills. I'm talking about change. The reason why God flooded the world, the reason why he preserved Noah, was because he was expecting more change. And because the people would not change, God had to make a correction into the earth. And so he says, I know what I'll do. I'll do something that's going to bring about a change that's going to change the world forever. Change the world forever. I remember talking to the men at the correction facility, the prison, and they even had their families there, because the families came in to help them celebrate a celebratory time. And so it was really wonderful. And so it wasn't just the men, it was the men and families and wives and girlfriends and just, just different people. And so we end up having a room full of folks. And so I preached and we all got a word, and God spoke to all of us. And I even took it to another level when I talked to even the women that was in there. And I said, maybe some of y'all women, when you go back home, I said, not these men in here, but some of y'all that ain't acquainted to these men from a relationship standpoint, but maybe some of these women got boyfriends, or maybe even they got husbands on the outside, and the husbands ain't acting right, and the boyfriends, they ain't acting right, and they putting 10 cents in the machine, and they expecting to get some candy out. They expecting to get a little sugar, and they expecting to get this, that, and the other out, and you shortchanging yourself, and you got to tell him that your price is far above rubies and pearls, and if you expect to get any change, any candy out of this, if you expect to get any more sugar out of this, if you expect to get some sweetness out of this, you're going to have to invest a little more change. You're going to have to change your ways. You're going to have to stop acting the way that you've been acting if you want some more of this. If you want some of all this right here, then you're going to have to bring a little bit more change. You're going to have to put some change, put a little bit more change in the machine if you expect to get some candy up out of here. And all the women, they started to clap, because they said, yeah, you just wait till I get home and I see old Ralphie tonight. When I see old Ralph in the night, I'm gonna say, don't you know you've been disrespecting me? Don't you know that my price is way above rubies and pearls, and you've been treating me like I'm some little stone. You've been treating me like I'm some little dirt. You ain't been respecting me, and you ain't been honoring me like the way that I've been made. I've been marvelously made, and God esteems me, and God lifts me up, and he calls me this and he calls me that. And yet when it comes to you shortchange me. You shortchange me, but you want me to do this here, and you want me to do that there, and you want me to put out. You want me to put out, and you wanna do what you want to do, and you want to lay up. you want to do all the things that you want to do, but you won't put enough change in here. Change. Disrespect me. You want to fornicate with me, but you don't want to put no change in. Change means that you don't fornicate, but you marry me. You marry me. You want change. You want to get some of this right here, but you want to adulterate. You don't want to put enough change in to walk away from all these other things that are going on out there in your world that you have access to, and then you want to come home, and then you want this space to be just so and so. Change. I just stopped by just to talk to you just a little bit about change on this day. Change. And maybe I don't know. Maybe you can, just like me, and you know, I made some changes in my life. I made academic changes, and I made financial changes, and I did a whole lot of things, but I needed to change my attitude. I needed to change my disposition. I needed to change the way I was thinking. I needed to change the things that I looked at. I needed to change the things that I desired. And so that was what I was trying to communicate to these brothers and to their families, that until God sees change. He may see that certificate on your wall. He may see degrees and all that, but he won't recognize you in order to bring abundance, to bring favor in your life, to shift things to where you're going to advance. He won't do none of those things until he sees change. And so, yes, while all those other things are good, I want you to keep growing. I want you to keep reaching higher heights and deeper depths. But you got to bring change, not just change with a pencil, not just change in academics, not just change in some of the things that you feel like is going to give you an advantage to make more money. Not those kind of changes. Those changes are good, but those ain't the changes that God look at. God's looking at integrity changes. God is looking at characteristic changes. Those types of changes gets God's attention, and at that point, he'll release the candy. He'll release the salt. He'll release the sugar, and he'll release the sweetness. Now, it might take a little time. That change don't happen overnight. That change, it takes you some time to work up to get enough money, to get enough emotional, integral, characteristic, all behavioral change. It takes a little time to collect that type of change to put in your pocket in order to put in the machine. God is watching for that type of, spiritual change. He's watching. It just don't happen. It takes prayer. It means that, Lord, I got to spend a little more time with you in prayer. It means that I got to get on my knees a little bit more. It means that I got to meditate a little bit more. It means that I've got to get in your word a little bit more. And it means that I got to get to know you a little bit more. That means that I got to commit to your love letter. That means I got to respond to you. That means that I got to be sensitive to you. That means that when you say no, no means no. When you say go, go means to go. When you say stop, stop means stop. It's going to take a little time for you to get change enough to put in the machine to get some candy out. Because the change ain't silver and gold. But the change is change. Change. What is God saying on today? God is simply saying that, my child, what am I looking for? I'm looking for change. What are you looking for? You're looking for my goodness. You're looking for my favor. You're looking for my mercy. You're looking for all the things that I provide. But the word of the Lord said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you upon change. Upon change. I just stopped by to give you that little message on today. Just stop by to tell somebody out there that they have been asking and wondering, God, why won't you do this for me? Lord, why won't you do that for me? And God, you know, and God is watching your attitude, and you wish-washy. One day you'll pray, the next day you won't pray. One day you'll be thankful, the next day you'll be complaining. One day you will do good towards people, and the next day you won't. One day you got forgiveness in your heart, the next day you got hatred in your heart. You got all these things going on, and then you wonder, why won't God consistently give you what you see in the machine, which is all the stuff, the house, the car, the job, the wealth, all the stuff that makes your life sweet. All that's in the machine. It's in the machine, the vending machine, in God's storehouse. He said it like this. He says, I'll open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there will not be room enough to receive. I'll do all that based upon change. Change. That's all you got to do is change. The reason why the world is in the predicament, the space that they are today, is because we refuse to change. All God is saying is just change. Change. Like the woman that was dating my friend on the job. She could have got the mink coat. She could have got the money. She could have got the rent paid. She could have got the house. She could have got the red bottoms. She could have got the Rolex watch. She could have got everything that she wanted to get. But all she needed was to invest more time in a relationship and allow things over time to marinate, to mature, to saturate, and to bring about change. He was saying, Bill, John, and Larry was saying, I need to see change in your behavior. Change. I'll say this and I'll close. People say to me all the time, well, not all the time, but a lot of the time, they will say to me, well, we want to advance in our finances. We need this. And then I'll get some people to say, hey, can I borrow a little change? Can I borrow a little change? And I don't mind doing that. But sometimes what I would have done in advance is I will say, I have a series that is on my channel, on my website. Not my website. It's on my page, my whatever you call these pages, my Facebook. So my Facebook, and the series is called the Money Series. And so here's what I'll do, since I know you, because I give everybody a chance. But since I know you, and I know that this has been like the third time, and you still coming back, you got the same problem. And so me giving you money is not going to help you. And so what I'll say is, I got a series, and I need you to listen to that series, and I need you to talk back to me. And I don't know if you listen to it or not, because what I'm looking for as you talk back to me, I'm trying to detect change. I'm trying to see, is she getting it to change? Because I'll know based upon what you say to me whether or not it's changing you. Because if it's really getting on the inside of you, the things that you were asking me for, you will no longer have to ask me for it. Why? Because what you're getting from the word will begin to change and bring to you that which you desire. All right, men and women of God, I hope that you've gotten some out of this message. Remember this, the worst is over and the best is yet to come. Your quality of life is getting better and better and better. And because of that, you will live and not die and declare the works and the will of the Lord. Until next time, it's face to face. I'm out.